Welcome back to The Explainer. If you've been following along with us, you've seen we recently explored some pretty deep concepts around collective responsibility and unity. But today, we're zooming in on something intensely focused and honestly, incredibly relevant to every single one of us. We are going to dive into Chapter 11 of Morals and Dogma, titled The Sublime Elect of the 12, to fundamentally dismantle the ego-driven view of authority. We're looking at leadership, service, and what it actually means to be dedicated to a purpose far greater than yourself.
But hey, before we really unpack the heavy philosophy of this text, we've got to start with a stark, fundamental question. What does it truly mean to lead? Just think about it for a second. We throw the word leader around constantly, right? We slap it onto politicians, CEOs, managers, influencers. But Albert Pike's philosophy here asks us to pause and really reconsider that label. Is leadership just having people do whatever you tell them? Is it just a fancy title on a door? The text we're analyzing today argues absolutely not. It argues for a complete, ground-up redefinition.
Okay, let's get right into it. Section 1, Rethinking True Leadership, the Paradigm Shift. To really understand this paradigm shift, we first need to define what we're talking about. The Sublime Elect of the 12, what exactly is that? Well, it's not meant to be read as just some literal rank or an exclusive club title. It's actually a profound philosophical standard. The 12 represents a collective voice. It symbolizes a form of leadership that is rooted entirely in service, rather than just hoarding personal power. The Sublime Elect understands one absolute core truth: to lead is to serve others. It's basically a total inversion of that typical pyramid where the leader just sits at the top. Here, the leader is the foundation supporting the rest.
Moving right along to Section 2, Service over Authority, the core philosophy.
Look at how society usually defines leadership. It's all about control, achieving status, and wielding authority over others. It is heavily focused on the ego. But the standard of the Sublime Elect, it's radically different. It is rooted in service, responsibility, and sacrifice. To really get this, let's explain these ideals by comparing them to historical figures known specifically for service. Take the Roman statesman Cincinnatus, for example. The guy was handed absolute dictatorial power to save the Republic. And what does he do? He willingly surrenders it all and goes right back to his farm the second the crisis is averted. Or think of Nelson Mandela, who guided a nation out of the incredibly dark era of apartheid. The leaders who leave a real, enduring legacy aren't defined by the control they sought or the status they held. They're defined by the immense personal sacrifice they endured for their people. True leadership is, quite literally, an act of choice to sacrifice.
Which brings us to Section 3, the burden of representation, carrying the weight. This philosophy takes leadership out of the abstract clouds and turns it into a very tangible, heavy reality. Because the 12 are acting on behalf of others, their decisions carry immense weight. Their choices affect many, not just one person. And that multiplies the responsibility exponentially. So this is the absolute vital question a true leader has to constantly ask themselves. Who am I representing, and how well am I doing it? If you're a leader, your voice isn't just your own anymore. You carry the trust, the well-being, and the future of those you lead. If you mess up, it's not just you who takes the fall, the entire collective feels that impact. And the Sublime Elect is hyper-aware of this dynamic at all times. And that brings us to this perfectly captured point. Leadership is a burden, not a privilege. I want you to really let that sink in. It's kind of unsettling, right? Especially if you're used to the whole corporate ladder mindset that treats leadership as the ultimate prize. It involves difficult decisions, constant accountability, and endless sacrifice. The philosophy we're unpacking makes it abundantly clear those who just want the power without accepting this heavy accountability, they are fundamentally unfit to lead. If authority becomes empty, it's because the person at the helm wanted the shiny privilege without actually shouldering the burden. Now let's look at the practical side of things in Section 4, Action, Unity, and Purpose, the execution. Because look, words alone just aren't going to cut it. People follow actions, not declarations. A true leader actively brings people together through practical, deliberate methods. They promote unity, they step right into the middle of a conflict to resolve it instead of just ignoring it, and they inspire cooperation. They communicate with absolute fairness and they strive to truly understand others. The Sublime Elect has to demonstrate integrity and actually live out the values they promote. If you want unity, you literally have to be the mechanism that creates it. Leadership, when it's executed like this, strengthens the whole group. And here's the kicker. This is not just some fleeting moment. You don't just act fairly on a Tuesday and earn the title forever. Leadership requires deep, unwavering consistency.
The source text breaks this continuous process down for us. It begins with dedication over time, evolves into a strict commitment to principles, and results in rock-solid reliability in your actions. Without this overarching purpose, decisions just lose their meaning. Again, looking at the greatest historical examples of servant leadership, like Marcus Aurelius, who held ultimate imperial power but viewed himself fundamentally as a servant to the Roman people, what you see are lifetimes of relentless, reliable commitment to a specific, just cause.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to take all these deep philosophical concepts and drop them right on your doorstep. Think about your own life right now, whether you're managing a massive team, raising a family, or leading a community project. Ask yourself how you lead. Are you leading through authority or through service? Keep this crucial premise in mind. True leadership is not about being followed. It's really not about counting how many people are walking behind you or listening to your commands. It all boils down to this final, ultimate question. Are you actually worthy of following? Honestly, if your team, your friends, or your family followed your exact example, your literal actions, not just your words, where would they end up? Would they be unified, purposeful, principled? Have you earned the right to lead them through sacrifice and service? The path of the Sublime Elect is a tough one. It's a path full of heavy burdens, but for sure, it is the only path that leads to true, enduring impact. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, lead with integrity, serve with purpose, and always ask yourself, are you truly worthy of following?